Welcome to another session regarding techniques on being able to make sure that you have a perfect haircut by the end of it. Here we are, so we're going to do a nice V today. We're going to leave the centre section quite long, and that we're going to layer. And in order to do that, I'm going to show you in sections to make sure that it doesn't look too clumpy when it's done. On the sides, we're going to do a 1 for a contrast. So we're going to take it just to where it sort of squares off, and you bring it right down into the neck. And then we're going to blend that in. So we're going to start by wetting the hair, because it's always good to get the centre bit wet because it's long. By doing this, as I mentioned before, it actually makes the hair a lot softer and easier to manage as you pick it up and cut away. Understanding what guard needs to go on your clippers is quite important too. So you have a variation of guards. These are great because they're all coloured and it makes it easier for anyone that's starting out. So you've got 1 all the way down to 8. The clipper I'm going to use today is this one. Now, when you look at your clipper, you'll see that you've got a selection of moves and grooves on that blade. And there's a reason for that, and that is how you actually manipulate and move it, which we're going to do now. So we want to take it from just where the beard is, because we're not touching the beard, and we're going to take it to where that section is just there. Now, if you go any higher than that, it just won't look right. So you've got to make sure it's just below the crown to just where it just squares off there. And you go in and you just take that, and as you bring it up, you curve it into you. Because otherwise you'll have danger of going all the way up. So when you know that you've got the line where you want to finish, you look and see how it actually grows as well. And then you go in and you bring it to you. And the importance of that is actually really, really crucial, so because it has to go up and in. If you don't, go straight up. Then as you work down, you imagine that curve going down like that into the neck. The positioning of the head is really important. You need to stretch that neck muscle. If you don't stretch that neck muscle, you're not going to gather as much hair in your clipper. Very important, all of these factors to actually consider. As you go around, I start now from the nape. As you go around, you tilt. So I'm going this way in order to go behind the ear. Because if you want to go flat, you'll end up taking all of this section, and that's not what you want to do. Another technique to use is to go in with your teeth. So you're not flat, you're going in at an angle and you're actually flicking. Next stage is to do clipper over comb. The reason why I do clipper over comb and not put another grade on is to get the flexibility. It's really, really flexible to be able to put your comb in and then you bring it to you. You put it in and you bring it to you. So again, sort of almost creating like a U. And you can see that's starting to be blended in. So you have more control by doing this. Teeth goes in. Feel the scalp just underneath that comb section. You can see the hair that you cut before, which is there, and then you take the rest off. So if I go in again, I'll bring it to me. There's a hair there. That's the section I want to cut. And that's how I blend it in. And you do this gradually. The comb almost sort of acts like a guard, but with better flexibility and being able to blend it in. Now with this section here, because the hair grows completely different to this section, so we're going to bring that hair forward like that in order to pick it up. You need to move around the head, position that down so you've got the stretch in the muscle. Again, it's always teeth in and then you just curve it to you and then you go down. So we're doing a V, so we're working our way down. Then you take a step back to look for shadows and any areas that you aren't happy with, you just go over. And the same for the other side. So now we've done the sides, we're going to work with the centre section. And remember, we're going to have a long V, so we want to be able to keep as much as the length. So we're going to layer it. So we'll start with the crown. You've got a crown, you've got the occipital, and we're going to work our way down. So my section is going to be probably around about here for my first guideline. I'm going to take a section of hair, so it's almost like you put your teeth of your comb in flat, you go across, then you lift it up, and then you bring it all the way to the top and figure out how much you want to take off. So having had the brief with Leo, we're going to take this much. So we're just giving it a nice little tidy up at the top there, and then we bring it down, so you've got your guideline there, which has just come down there, and then you create a runway. Take that all over there, and then here. There's your guideline up there. I'm going to work my way down to the runway now. And how we do that is that while you're at the top, you position yourself to the side. Positioning is really important, and then you take half of it, and you're going to take that section where you've cut there to that section there. So this now becomes another guideline. So you've got a guideline there, you've got a guideline all the way there, you're going to work your way down. And you're probably thinking, well, how do I know how much to take at the bottom? Well, we know that we want this to be a long hair V, so we're going to make sure that we don't take too much off. Now you can see I've changed my position again. That's really important. I've gone from being up here to here. The reason being, if I was to go and do this, I wouldn't get a good position in order to be able to get that nice sharp cut. So positioning is important. You've got your guideline, you've got your runway. I'm now going to put the teeth in of the comb, find my guideline, and by doing this you can pick up the hair and you've got the guideline. There's my guideline, and I want to take the section off. So we just go in, take that off. Positioning of the head is important. Working neatly is also a good habit to get into, because if you've got hair everywhere like this and you just pick hair up, you're just cutting randomly. Again, nice and neat, teeth go in, position the hair out the way. And if the hair is slightly damp, it stays in position as well. It's another good tip to have. So we're going to go in and do it section at a time, because if you take too much, it clumps together, and again it's just randomly cut. And I'm working my way down, so having figured out that we're just taking that sort of section there and the length that we want to have. So now you've got complete and utter guidelines. You got it from the crown all the way down into the nape. We half that, push that out of the way, push the other out of the way, and we've got something to work with now. It's nice and tidy. Then we take this section and we do exactly the same. I get to the top section, I pull it out, see what I mean? That doesn't work if I do that. So you position yourself, you pull the hair out, and you follow your guideline. Making sure you have neat sections and getting in the habit of neat sections. So with this section is your elbow is pretty much down. You pull the hair out slightly, so I'm not straight, I'm pulled out follow this throughout. So long as you've got your guidelines, which are all there, you can work your way through. So again, now we're going to the side, bring it out. There's a section that I've cut. This is a surplus amount. So I'll take that off, drop that down, pick up some more. Bring it out and follow your guidelines. Now if you're thinking, where are my guidelines? If you're lost with your guidelines, you go through the technique again. You can start to see a difference already. So when you get to this section here now, slightly different. You've got to do your usual runways, but because we've got such a huge disconnection, and that we need to make sure that we blend that in. So there's really, really short there and really, really long there. So what we're going to do is take your guideline that's there, and now instead of taking it out this way, like we did to this section here, we are going to go in. So it's more into the neck. Okay, there we go. Take that off. Drop half of it, put half out the way, and then you work on the other section. And that just make it blend in a bit more rather than complete step, and you work your way through with that one. Right, the top section. Following your guideline from what we created to start with, you pick that section up and then you get another section in order then to create your other guideline. Now you can see where the guideline is because we've got it cut just there. That's a short section, and we just take it across. Now we take that forward, and when we half it, bring it down, and the other side, and we work our way from the guideline up there to the section there. So all of these are guidelines that you follow. Remember that the client wants to have longer hair, so not to take too much off. So in the brief you would have figured out how much you would have really needed to take off, and that's what you work to. I'm using today is a blunt cut. The reason why I'm not doing pointing in is because we've got movement in the hair already, and we've got the anagen, catagen and telogen growth already natural in there, so it doesn't really warrant any pointing in. Front section. Front section is really important to take note that not everybody wants it really, really short, and depending on the style that they want to have finished with. So I always check to see where they're happy to have it taken to the level. But another thing that you need to remember is that if it's not straight, it's going to bounce up, and when hair is wet, it stretches a little bit, so that it becomes longer than normal if it was dry. So you need to just give it just a shake to see where it would fall. And I can see already if I was to take too much off, that would be far too short, it just bounce right back. So we're just going to take just a small amount, just the ends. Now that's been my guideline, so I'm working my way around now. By working your way around for the sections that you've cut as well, is that this gives you a great time to be able to start blending your hair in as well. So we're going to go. So that's my guideline that I did. as usual, we half it and take it over to the side. So you look to see how it sits and how it falls. So what we're going to do is just take some slight weight from there, because that's just going to be too heavy. And then we're pretty much good to go. So let's get that sorted. By doing what I've just done, raising the hair up, you can see how you've layered it. You can see how it would stand out once it is dried. And that's what you want to look for. You want to look for a surface that pretty much does that. The next thing we're going to do is tidy up the neckline. Make sure that whenever you do your haircut, you frame it just nicely. We're going to use the trimmers now. Again, position the neck in the right way. When you've got this muscle here that tends to sometimes just go in, you just turn the hair slightly and then you stretch it forward, and that creates a nice flat surface for you to work on. Just makes it that much easier. So I'm pushing down just on that muscle, it just stretches the skin a little bit, and then that creates a little bit of pull. Working your way up to just behind the ear, you just take the ear and you push it out of the way. Now you can do this whatever way you feel comfortable, really. So I've got a variation. I can either go over and cross over, or I'm going to stand to that side and work my way around by pulling the ear down, and that just really stretches everything, and you work your way all the way around. Having finished the haircut, I started with some clay. We'll put that in another tutorial at another time. If you'd like to gain the skills for a perfect haircut, subscribe for a future tutorial.